Welcome once again to Channel 18 and to the Harwich Conservation Trust. And once again, we have Matt Cannon, the outreach coordinator, with us, and Michael Lack, the executive director. And so Michael's going to start us off today with a little bit of outdoor workshops.
Yes.
So that's something new.
Spring is here.
I know.
Isn't it?
Isn't that great?
Some days more than others. But,
Not today, though. Today, it forgot.
well, anyway, spring is here. Thanks for having us again.
Thank you.
And, we like to get folks outside to experience some of these natural areas that everybody pitches in to preserve with us.
That would be great.
Yes.
Getting people outside is a big deal.
Right. So we have these outdoor educational workshops. There is a small charge for them, $15 per person, but the amount that you learn and the experience you get outside exploring these different areas is really priceless. It's fantastic. You can read all about them on our website, harwichconservationtrust.org. I'm just going to outline a couple. Three, in fact. Orienteering on May 7th, wildlife tracking on May 21st, and birding for beginners on May 29th. So we'll take them in order. They're all led by Todd Kelly in partnership with us. You'll see a photo there on your screen. The orienteering workshop is all about finding your way without a smartphone. Believe it or not, people used to navigate without these smartphones and their GPS is embedded in them. Used to use something called a compass.
Okay.
And Todd will teach you how to use a compass, and the workshop includes exploring the Thompson's Field area. You will receive directions with your confirmation email once you paid online by credit card or dropped off a check to us at our office. Again, details at our website. But orienteering, find your way, learn all about navigating with a compass and reading cues in the landscape and using a map. So it's really fantastic. And you've been on walks with Todd. Todd's quite a resource.
I've had the lucky pleasure to go out on many walks with him. He's also led our Native American Walk series, co-led, and every time I go out there, I learn something new with Todd. He'll find otter scat anywhere and everywhere. He's a great resource, and he's a great guide.
Yeah. Now look at these photos. Speaking of what Matt was talking about,
There's
otters.
probably some otter scat right
Yeah,
there.
otter scat. Otters, we know are very elusive, secretive creatures. You don't see them very often. But they're around here and there, especially since some of their habitats are being preserved by Harwich Conservation Trust and our partner, the town, and others. There's Todd leading a wildlife tracking workshop. Okay, so he's pointing out some animal track and sign, and you can see the workshop participants there gathered round. And so Todd will be leading this workshop in the Bell's Neck Conservation Area, right? The area preserved by the town initially back in 1966. And over the years, Harwich Conservation Trust partnering with the town to add additional lands to that wonderful conservation destination in West Harwich. That wildlife tracking workshop is on Saturday, May 21st. Block out your calendar for the day after these workshops, because if it rains on the actual workshop scheduled day, the rain date will automatically be the following day.
Very good.
But that's a fantastic workshop. And then he leads a third workshop with us on Sunday, actually this time, May 29th. So that's Memorial Day weekend. It's when some folks like to plan their visits,
Right.
To the Cape. So we're hoping we can.
Cape really opens up.
It
on May
really does,
29th.
and not only for people, but for birds as well. You've probably noticed when it's a little bit warmer on some of these spring mornings, a lot more bird song. And so Todd will be leading birding workshop at our largest preserve, the Robert F. Smith Coldbrook Preserve. You see a beautiful photo there of a tree swallow feeding one of its nestlings. Well, the Robert F. Smith Coldbrook Preserve, 66 acres in Harwich Port, has more than 44 paired bird nest boxes, which host songbirds, including the tree swallow you see here, bluebird, chickadee, titmice, and occasionally house wren. Those are the primary songbird species that nest in those nest boxes, but, and also I might add, they're regularly monitored by our intrepid nest box volunteer monitors. You also see a number of other birds around that wonderful landscape of wetland, upland, and cold brook running throughout. This is a song sparrow, and you can find these vocal little birds perched on top of, say, an eastern red cedar here or there, or maybe a high bush out in the landscape, calling out. A lot of these birds are calling for mates, setting up territories, and this is a mockingbird here shown. This one you might recognize by its mimicry, so it will repeat other birds' songs in series of 3 notes. So it might repeat a blue jay's call 3 times over, and then it will switch to maybe a cardinal 3 times over. So that's how you can sort of pick this bird out of the landscape if you might not be able to see it. So Todd will let folks know how to listen for bird song, how to pick out birds in the landscape. Now this one in particular, pretty bright. It's a oriole, northern oriole. Amazingly bright, fiery orange breast with that black cap. They'll be migrating back in the next couple weeks from down south. So they're one of our summer, spring and summer residents. They nest in these wonderful pouch nests strung up high in the tops of oaks and other deciduous trees. But you might see one of those too. So Todd will teach folks how to listen for certain types of birdsong, how to identify birds, including at a distance by their identifying field marks, whether it's tail length or perhaps the contrast in plumage coloring and beak size or shape, and a variety of other identifying characteristics. Bring your binoculars. And any bird identification books you have, he'll have a couple on hand to look at. But it's a wonderful workshop. Again, you can find out more at our website.
Very good.
Yes.
Sounds good. And then the next thing that we have on the schedule is the Tour de Trash.
Tour de Trash.
Yes.
Second annual Tour de Trash. It's this Saturday morning. It starts at 9:30. We're going to meet at the high school right across the street from the community center.
April 30th.
April 30th, Saturday, and it'll go from 10 to noon. So you can sign up online first on our website, harwichconservationtrust.org. That will help us kind of get an idea of how many people and where we can place people throughout town to clean up trash. So there's a lot of litter out there. Unfortunately, there's a lot on some of our properties as well. Oh, there's a great picture from last year. So it was a volunteer-led group. I should give you just a little background. There was a few volunteers who have been cleaning up trash by themselves, basically, through our organization, and they're pictured in your top right. And we made a group, an actual day because of them, to make a town-wide cleanup because they can't do it by themselves. Mm-hmm. We need a town-wide attempt. So last year we had over 100 people show up. There's another great picture in the bottom left. So we'll scatter throughout town. We have about 25 spots. And if you could sign up online, that'd be great. harwichconservationtrust.org. There's the flyer. Check-in again is 9:30 at the high school, and there will be lunch provided by Stop and Shop. We appreciate their sponsorship.
Oh, that's very good. Now, how many tons did you collect last year?
How many, sorry?
Tons.
That's a good question. I don't know how many tons, but we were hundreds of pounds.
I thought they had tons.
Highway Department helped out, Conservation Department.
Conservation
Right?
Highway
Trust.
Department, they'll help again. NASA Disposal this year is going to help us with recycling. Shaw's has helped. True Value has helped. So we really
You
it's
had a
great
really big collection last year, right?
We did have a large.
It's amazing how much accumulates. And
Yes.
Amy Wazowski, the Town Conservation Administrator, has been a wonderful partner in this as well. It's a real joint effort between the trust and the town.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this is your second annual town one, right?
second annual town-wide. We also do a coast sweep in the fall sometimes, but this is really a town-wide effort in conjunction with the Conservation Department and local volunteers.
And you've been doing your part of it for some time now.
We've chipped away at some of the roads ourselves, and some of the volunteers have helped, but not a town-wide.
No, not this extent.
Yeah.
Well, if you're getting around the town, you really have a good chance to get a lot of trash.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And
Town meeting.
town meeting, what's going on at town meeting?
Town meeting. Mark your
Yeah.
calendars. May 2nd, Monday, right here, Community Center Gym, 7 p.m. We have, in collaboration with the town's Real Estate and Open Space Committee, an article number 38, which focuses on the acquisition of the 17-acre Marini property, which is located in East Harwich, on the border of Chatham. Has about 1,400 feet of shoreline on Muddy Creek or Monomoy River that flows into Pleasant Bay. So this is an important property to protect in order to help ensure continued restoration and water quality enhancement of Muddy Creek as well as Pleasant Bay. We know that those water bodies are impaired because of nutrients leaching from area septic systems, from too much development in the surrounding watershed. This particular site is permitted for a 12-lot subdivision. So we feel that extinguishing that subdivision potential on that area and preserving the wildlife habitat, you see the map there, the area circled, area shown in red is the location of the property, really at the headwaters of Muddy Creek or Monomoy River there, flowing down into Pleasant Bay. So preserving this property will help protect water quality, wildlife habitat, really a sense of history. There's really a story in the land from a Native American history standpoint. Maybe we can talk about that at a later point if we're successful in preserving this land. But just remember also that downstream of this property, where Route 28 crosses Muddy Creek at the border of Chatham and Harwich there at Jackknife Cove, there's a very significant restoration project that's almost completed. That is to replace the two undersized culverts that have been restricting tidal flow for decades with a full span vehicle bridge, which will certainly be a progressive step forward in the efforts to restore water quality of the area. Over $6.5 million has been invested in that bridge restoration project.
Wow.
And we feel that it makes sense for the town and HCT to partner in investing funds and preserving this landscape upstream so that we don't undo some of that effort downstream by virtue of the bridge project by adding more septic systems to a 17-acre area that could otherwise be preserved. So what are the details in the article? It's really the maximum contribution being asked of town meeting voters is $500,000 in Community Preservation Act funds. So remember that Community Preservation Act funds are sourced from 3% charged on everybody's real estate property tax bill. So it's a dedicated source of funding to help with historic preservation projects, affordable housing, recreation, and open space acquisition. So use of these funds does not compete with any other important social need in town that is derived from the general funds. So it doesn't compete with schools, it does not compete with highway maintenance or emergency response, police and fire, or any of those other important municipal expenses. So $500,000 we're asking the town meeting voters to consider and approve. Town meeting voters in exchange for that authorization, hopefully a yes vote on Article 38, the town would receive a conservation restriction on this property. Whatever the difference is between that $500,000 amount and the eventual purchase price, which has yet to be negotiated, Harwich Conservation Trust will be responsible for raising that balance and then take title or ownership of the land.
So there's no real cost to the taxpayer other than the 3% that they pay
of
on
Community Preservation Act funds.
preservation.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
So
Now, another twist to this article is important to remember, and we will have flyers handed out outside of town meeting just to explain this. The total warrant article amount is $800,000.
You're going to be responsible for 300.
That's right. Very good.
There you
Yes. Now, why 800? Someone might say, if we're just asking the town for 500,000 towards that 800. Well, by the trust raising 300 and adding it to the 500 we're asking voters to approve, it puts the town in a positive position to apply for a state grant to help offset the land purchase costs. So a lot of moving parts to this project, but we have to be creative in our financing approach and our partnership approach between the trust and the town. So that's the sum, and we hope people will come out and vote Monday, May 2nd, yes, for Article 38.
Doesn't appear to me that there should be any question.
Yeah. Well, we don't want to assume.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a real proactive step forward in terms of preserving another key piece, especially as it relates to Pleasant Bay.
Right. So, well, excuse me. Losing my voice. I'm not even talking. Well, you've got a nice project going, and so well, we wish you well on that, and the experience with Todd Kelly.
Yes.
That should be fun.
Yes.
And
Tour de Trash this Saturday.
Tour de Trash is this Saturday, and
April 30th.
I bet they get at least a ton of trash. I don't know.
Yes.
And you're going all over town. And there must be tons of trash.
Yeah.
Anyhow, we'll wish everybody well.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you.